Man, I'd say the biggest like factor in that I'd say was probably the easiness of it, I
Mm.
guess you could say. Not easy as in like, skill sets or like, getting into things, but it's more of like the accessibility to a certain, populace of people on here is just so much easier to reach. And not to mention that, it's a worldwide thing.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and folks, we got one hell of a guest, and that is
Val Rhaven,
Hey, thank you very much for
one and
joining us.
only.
yeah, we appreciate it,
Of course, of
Raven.
course. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you most
Oh,
know?
Big fan of y'all's work.
Oh, and I'm a fan of yours. You have one hell of a voice on you, by the way. For the audience member, you should have
yes,
heard
you
a song
do.
by him before this started.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
indeed. So, well,
So,
what do you most know for? How'd you get started and get into VRChat?
I said the biggest thing for me was, I originally did play this game like regularly for a while.
Hmm.
Back like I'd say maybe in the 2019 area is like when I really played it for a good chunk of, like a good chunk. Then I kind of took a hiatus, right? Obviously, I feel like everyone kind of takes that break at some point and then comes back to it. And when they come back to it, it's just like longer period that you're playing for. But I just so happened to, be singing a lot more at the time, and I started singing in some public worlds, and eventually I ran into my co-owner of my group, and then we kind of just started a little thing. I went around singing a bunch, and it kind of just kept escalating from there. And then ran into the furry community, and they're very professional and very host a lot of really nice events. And so yeah, when that happened, I was like, all right. And then it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now I'm here. So I love it. Very passionate about it, so it's great.
Hmm. So, when you first hopped into VRChat, what were the first few things you did, and what led you into the music scene?
Um, First things I did was originally I kind of was just going to this one world to socialize most of the time, like because it was kind of like I didn't have VR at the time. I was PC only, and I didn't really know too much to do on here because I was kind of new to it. But then I remember finding this open mic world. It's literally called open mic. Like it's a PC only world. It's like the one world to where like it all started on here for it. Like it was big with a certain group called Artifacts at the time was like the biggest one in terms of music. And then Midnight Munchies guys well did his own thing. That's kind of where he started off as well. Was then those Artifacts and Midnight Munchies was kind of like a big thing then. And I remember I got into Artifacts, but I never really did anything with them because I kind of ended up taking that big hiatus. And when I came back, like everything was just totally different. That was crazy. Like everything just changed so rapidly, and for good, in good ways as well. So, which is nice. But that's kind of where I started. Remember singing. I have my speaker. I had a Bluetooth speaker to where I put one on each side of the of my microphone and just blasted into it while I'm singing in front of it. So that was my original setup at the time. So it's definitely improved since then. Definitely improved since then for sure.
Hmm. Okay, so let's start with what got you into music initially, and what was your first few shows like after you've found artifacts?
Oh man, so when I first when I first did find artifacts, I got invited to it after I sang at this little open mic event. Um, but I never actually ended up doing any shows with artifacts.
Hmm.
So I took that big hiatus where I kind of just IRL did things. Um, and I'd say that on VR chat at least, my first big show was when I used to host these like basically these like kind of open mic type things in the has been community, funny enough. Like that's kind of where I actually found a lot of my original friends on here, which was funny because I was into the has been hotel and what's it called, the Hell of a Boss kind of show at the time, and it all really started out of curiosity because I was like I watched the show and I was into it and I liked it, right? It was a very unique thing. I was, as a YouTuber doing it, so I was like, hell yeah. So I went to this world and was like, let me see if I can find a hell of a boss world on here, right? And I ended up doing it, and that's then kind of just started me getting into more conversations, and being more sociable than usual. And then I ran into that person, Tack, which is a good friend of mine. He's the one that kind of me and him kind of worked to start the Discord, and then we like, hey, let's start a VRChat group, and then we ended up doing that, and those open mic things started popping off. Like we started doing really well with them, and then started growing from there. Those would be like the first shows that I did, and it's escalated very much so since then. But where I started in music, I'd say that goes back a long time. So when I was a buddy boy, when I was very very young, which I don't really talk about this too often, but when I was super super young, I actually used to play pretend in a band with these other people in my neighborhood, which was actually in Brazil. I did this in Brazil, and it was super interesting because like I would just go into like we into this garage and we just like for this like party we were all like play pretend like we're playing pretend like we're in a band, and I was playing the guitar, but at the time, which is not really didn't really sound like good at all, but we loved it, and that really ignited. And that was like the first initial like kind of cinder for the ignition of the whole music thing. And I'd say that throughout the years, I eventually got into elementary school, which after I came to the United States officially, uh, which I was born here. I was born in the United States, but went to Brazil for a solid eight-ish years. So, and yeah, it's kind of like when I got back here in elementary school, I picked up the bass, the upright bass, and I originally started with trumpet, but never really went anywhere with that. It was fun for a while, it lasted though. But yeah, I started playing the upright bass, and that really kind of started to. It started to kind of like I don't know, me noticing that I have like a very adept sense to the music, right? Like I enjoyed it a lot. Like it was a big thing I enjoyed, like more than the other kids. And I used to love to show off and stuff like that. So I'd really try to improve as best as I could. And it was really interesting because like I kept playing it, I kept going. That my parents were super supportive of it. So I got very blessed to have my family help me with that. And yeah, I just kept playing all the way up through through high school. But one funny thing in elementary school is they had a talent show, and I wanted so badly, like one of my biggest things I wanted to do, but I couldn't build up the courage at the time was actually sing. Like funny enough, and I didn't do it, but I wanted to sing 21 Guns by Green Day. Funny enough, like I told myself I could do it, like I would sound good and stuff like that, but I chickened out at the time, and it sucks. I should have done it. It would have been cool, but yeah, going into like middle school, I continued playing consistently throughout all my years in middle school, and then as well as also in high school. High school, I think, is where it really started to divulge into something more, and playing in like bigger performances like Beauty and the Beast, and even a kind of like lighthearted version of Phantom of the Opera, which I mean, it was kind of, still the official, like, everything for Phantom of the Opera, but it was just high school, And the one good thing is, though, is that our high school did have the best music program in the area, like by a good margin, and we were very talented, like a lot of talent in there, and so we played it very well. And that was when I played it in the pit. I actually did end up doing a little bit of it later on in as the Phantom, but that wasn't really it wasn't anything crazy, I would say, but it was very it was fun. It was a cool thing with the Cocoa Beach Playhouse. It was nice. It wasn't too bad. And but yeah, I'd say that college is where I kind of really started to. I showed somebody my singing. Like I used to sing on this Smule app. This it's literally called Smule, and it's a thing where you can duet people. and I started kind of just singing on there, singing with like I was really into Linkin Park at the time. I would sing to the speaker, and uh, yeah, eventually one day I go to this kava bar place, and what's it called? And I showed somebody. I was super nervous to show somebody it, but they were like amazed at it, and they were like, "You should sing at the open mic here." And that was the first step. I remember getting with my buddy John, who's a guitarist, and I did "Toss a Coin to Your Witcher" as the first ever song I sang live. So that was a very funny moment for me. But yeah, that's kind of the whole jig of like how I started to sing, and then it kind of just escalated from there.
Okay. Now, did you ever continue doing shows in real life, or was VRChat like the place where it started budding more in terms of like live performances?
I'd say I did actually do quite a few venues IRL, surprisingly. Like, cause what I did was is I kept singing at this open mic at this kava bar place. They had like multiple locations, so I'd go between each one and sing there. Every week, every single week, I'd go and do it, and people started to notice, right, as I kept improving. And one day I got asked by a different kava bar, which the owner of it was there, if I wanted to do a show at his place, and and it paid, like it was a pay thing as well. And I ended up doing it as a Halloween event they did, and it was super cool, very very busy, like 300 people easy, and it was like what's it called? Very nerve-wracking because I wasn't
Hmm.
accustomed to doing a dedicated show like that. Um, and there was like a set of people, but I was kind of like the main showrunner. That was like the front face of the poster. I thought it was funny, and yeah, that that was like the first one I did. And then I remember going to this Cloud Parlor place, which was a cafe, and the cool thing about them is that it was like kind of like a posh place a bit.
Mm.
Like it was a 20 speakeasy type bar, right?
Yeah.
And to get in, you have to like pull a book on a bookshelf, and it like opens up. It was super cool. And I remember that the first time I ever got paid fully to do it was at this one, to where they paid me $350 to do a 3-hour set. It was $100 an hour, and which was very nice. And that was the biggest moment to me, to where I was like, wow, this can actually be, a career of mine. Like because I can make this into something big. But aside from that though, like the main driving factor for it mostly was just the passion mostly at the time, because I just loved doing it. Like it was just so much fun to do and share with my friends what I could be capable of, and that's what really started to get me into other places as well. I ended up doing it at these two other bars. What's it called? One place called Debauchery, and one it's some nice like little bars here and there. But there was this music fest thing that I almost did, but I ended up being too late on it, which I'm actually thinking about trying out for it next upcoming year, or this year. Keep forgetting it's 2025. Uh, and yeah, maybe I'll do that. But mostly recently it's been VR. Like I've done a lot of my stuff on VR, so it's just it's such a unique thing, and I think that's what really kind of drives me to do it so much. And I love the people in here, so it's great. That's kind of where I am at IRL at least.
Okay. So between IRL and VRChat, do you write your own songs, or do you cover things, may I ask? And what about both the real life experience and VRChat drives you to keep on going?
I'd say that, so in terms of music, I love doing covers,
Hmm.
just for the simple fact where I like turning, things I love to listen to and with my own voice, and like turn it into like my own style. So I really enjoy doing that a lot on here, but I also love writing music. So I have written about 16 songs now, um, kind of fleshed out. Um, in terms of, it was kind of like joint ventures with friends, so it's kind of just like a, non-profit. We weren't really trying to get it. It was more just for fun, and I have them all posted. I just posted on SoundCloud or like my Instagram and just showed it to people, and I loved it. I loved making it and showing it to people. Like that was like my biggest like I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things, and just letting people listen to my music. Like I just love it when somebody enjoys it to listen to me sing. Like it's a very nice feeling because it's like I worked so hard on it, and I worked, tirelessly to improve my vocals and get better at writing, and having somebody say like, yeah, I've been listening to this on repeat. Like that was a big one for me. Like that's what really was like. I love that. That was one of my favorite things to hear. One of my friends told me was that they were like they memorized the lyrics of it and stuff. It was super cool. And yeah, and I'm still doing originals to this day. It's just time management is probably the one enemy of mine. I'd say that's probably the biggest one because they're just so busy now, and I have a bunch of songs that are just kind of sitting waiting for me to go and finish. So as the usual artist is, I write a bunch of stuff, start it, and then wait, and then like maybe a couple months later I'll finish it. But
Hmm. Okay.
it's not too bad. But yeah.
So with with some of the ones you've written, were there any inspiration? What were the inspirations for them?
So my biggest inspiration, surprisingly, when I first started to write music was so my funny enough, my bloodline comes from a lineage of knights way back in the day from Spain, right? That's where my blood comes from. Uh, it's Spanish, French, and what's it called? So I always was super into knights. Like I was like throughout my entire childhood, I loved knight armor and stuff like that. So the themes that I would try to go for was like melancholic, like tragedies, and I would try to do very poetic type lyricism for the songs. So I try to make it almost sound like it's like a knight kind of like, lamenting in the night or something like that. Like
Mm.
for for a good while, and I even did some ones to where it was very most of the time it was like a poetic like sadness or like a poetic like melancholic type song. Like usually that's what I would go for. And that I'm more attuned to the emotional like playing field for music. The happy stuff I never really was too good at.
Mm.
I like it, but it's just for me, being a chaser of the constant improvement and the very finite details of singing. Usually, I try to challenge myself and do a lot of what's it called? The sad ones and the emotional ones usually are the ones that push you the furthest and really make it to where you need to actually pull something out of you
Mm.
to make it sound good. And usually that involves emotional, like understanding your emotions more, understanding how to use it. So that's one of the biggest driving factors of why I'm so into emotional music, and I'd always love to sing it. And rock as well. I think rock has that mix of like emotion and kind of joyfulness in a sense, but it's more of like epicness, I guess you could say. So, but yeah, the dark melodic kind of melancholic stuff was the original type of music that I've written, and I did eventually move into synthwave. So I took that style of the emotional kind of melancholic dramaticism, and I put it into synth. I tried to like meld it with synthwave, right? That's kind of what my like goal was. I took that poetic lyricism and I actually used it in what's it called? I used it in synthwave songs, and I got very very good reception from that. Surprisingly, I didn't expect that originally, but yeah, and synthwave is also another it's like a mix between like modern and 80s. Like I love it so much. That's another big one I enjoy to do. It's a lot of I'd say like it's not fun songs. They're still talking a lot about sad tropes and stuff like that, but I do I don't know, I still find joy out of them, it's like weird. It's like it's sad, it's talking about sad stuff, but for some reason it makes you happy, so
Okay.
Raven, Raven, what musical person out there that inspires you? You really go after.
Ooh. Um, Honestly, when I first started, I'd have to say that U2, my dad used to listen to U2 like all the time, and like the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. Like that's when I originally started as a kid listening to. Like I listened to a lot of like that Euro rock kind of type shenanigans, right? So like Europe, like Foreigner, like what else? There's one specific one. I know they did the Logic song. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember the name of them. There were a band like a lot of the bands from Europe, 80s, 90s. That's kind of what I grew up on. But then Linkin Park was probably the biggest. Chester Bennington was probably a very, very big inspiration for me to start. Um, I just love the way like he was such a good human being, and he was also just so talented at the music he did, and that that really kind of inspired me to begin. And I always loved Linkin Park so much. And then later on, I kind of started to delve into other things, and uh, I really really loved what's it called? Andrew Lloyd Webber, the guy who wrote the Phantom of the Opera. Like he was a good inspiration. Who else? I'd say Frank Sinatra is another one, because he really involves that kind of uh, melancholic type movements and like very like how say it more like that kind of like sexy style to the way that he kind of does things. And what else? Hans Zimmer was probably another huge one, especially for the my love for the dramaticism and emotionalness and orchestral type music. Um, and then honestly, randomly, I fell in love with The Weeknd. Like I thought that The Weeknd was such a a lot of people don't know incredible amounts about him, but it's like him coming from a homeless, he was homeless like for a good while, and then he brought himself up, and his singing style and his ability is just so impressive, and he really really inspires me. And then right now I'm giving a lot of people, I know, I'm sorry, but it's right now I'd probably say that it's gonna Sleep Token is probably the biggest one for me right now, because they are an entrepreneur of a new style of metal, and I absolutely love it. They also wear, they have aliases, and it's super cool. Like they have like a theme on stage, very theater like type aesthetic, like to how they do things. So, and yeah, those would probably be my biggest inspirations to this day. I'd say. Who knows what I'll find later on.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So did you ever have any guides or mentors along the way between VR chat and real life with what you're doing?
I'd say that the biggest mentor I had, because in terms of singing, I'm pretty much almost all naturally taught. Like I taught myself a lot of the stuff that I know today. Or self-taught would be the better word to say for that. But I'd say that my what's it called? My directors in or maestros for my orchestras that I played in, including Mr. Nelson. That's what I called him at the time. Um, I played with him inside of a kind of like semi-professional type professional orchestra, and with a bunch of professional people that volunteered to be in there, and it was beautiful. And he was just someone that's so inspirational to me, especially for how much he cares about like singling you out and making sure that you feel comfortable, and doing the proper process for the instrument playing at least.
Hmm.
And going throughout all the shows I played with him, and that orchestra in particular, that was probably the biggest, in terms of maestros wise. And also in elementary school, Mr. Mormon, he was also a big, like he cared about me improving. He was a professional violin when I was in elementary school, so I looked up to him a lot throughout the entirety of it because I was super into playing the bass. So he taught me a ton about it and understanding music better. But yeah, in terms of singing, you know, I never took any lessons for it. I never felt like I needed to. I took what I learned from the orchestra days and the orchestra years that I'd spent with the bass and inside the deep end of the orchestra, listening to all those low tones and stuff like that. And it really helped train my ear a lot. So, yeah, the passion drove me to do it. That's the best thing I could say. The passion is really what my biggest mentor would be. Passion for music, for singing, because that's the leading driving factor for my main ability is just my absolute passion for the art. So, yeah.
Okay. So how many? Now let's take it back into VR a little bit because I know you also run your own group too. What kind of shows or events have you done here in VRChat, may I ask, and what kinds of shows have stuck with you from ones you've done?
Ooh, there's a lot. I'd say that probably let's see. I gotta think about that one for a sec, because it's in terms of like my favorites. Honestly, I have to give my favorite probably to the Halloween bash I did, because that was the first big gig I did on here, and I remember I when I originally started getting into like the furry community, right? Um, because I never really have been a furry like fully myself, but I really enjoy the community a lot, so I've been very, very grateful to be a part of a lot of these really cool events with them. And I say that when I had a buddy of mine talk to me about the Goldie's open mic, right?
Hmm.
And I remember them bringing me in, and I went in there and I sang "I Can't Go On Without You" by Kaleo, which is actually the song that y'all are gonna hear soon at the beginning. And it's I remember that day because I was so nervous at the time because it was the first time I really sang in front of some. It was like 60 people in there, right? And on VRChat. So one, I was like, can my computer handle this? And two, it's what is it? I was kind of nerve-wracked because I didn't know like just the sheer like popularity of certain people in there, or like if I was gonna get judged and stuff. So, but I was like, it's never stopped me before, so I'm not gonna let it stop me now. So I went up there and gave it my all, and during that first time I ever performed for them, Goldie invited me to sing at the Halloween Bash, right? So, and then that was like a big take back for me because I've only known these people for a day, so I was like, hell yeah, like like I wasn't gonna miss that opportunity. So, and doing it and seeing just the sheer level of like professionalism and like just the uniqueness of the whole thing opened my eyes a lot to VRChat. I'd say that was a big one for me, especially with the capabilities on here of like what you can do. Um, and yeah, and then I did what's it called? I guess you can kind of consider it a show. I remember I was with a gentleman named Solinus, and we went to a public instance, and we literally just started singing, like, and we had some friends of ours there, and I remember we generated a very large crowd. Like we brought pretty much the entire instance around us, and it was so beautiful to see that, to where it was like we were just passionately singing for no reason, just having fun. And that was kind of like that was one of my favorite things. Cause like I didn't want to stop because it was so much fun. Like I just wanted to keep going, but things come to an end, unfortunately. So we had to stop and chill out. But it was that those two were probably the biggest ones. And Arcadia as well was very nice. I did Arcadia recently with Beryllium, and yeah, like those are probably the biggest ones for me. But that Halloween Bash was started it all, so gotta give it props.
Hmm. Okay. So from some of the since you've listed an open mic and some of the stuff you've done before as well, how has your experience in real life differ from what you've done here in VR chat, and what keeps you doing a VR chat versus the other?
Man, I'd say the biggest like factor in that I'd say was probably the easiness of it. I
Mm.
guess you could say. Not easy as in like, skill sets or like, getting into things, but it's more of like the accessibility to a certain, populace of people on here is just so much easier to reach. And not to mention that, it's a worldwide thing. So I'm not just localized to my town, right? Or my city. So it's, but I don't know. I'd say the difference to me is the factor that I can, come on here after work and just, go do something spectacular with a ton of people and, sing very passionately to like a ton of people from around the world that actually are really wanting to be there and listen. And I think it's honestly the interaction with me, I say, is probably one of the biggest reasons why I like to do it on VRChat, because I have a lot of people that really enjoy listening to me, and I love that. I love the fact that there's people who actually look forward to me singing and listening to me, and so I don't want to let them down as well. So, and having my community on here as well, being super supportive of me and being there along the way throughout most of it, and supporting our own shows as well, and working super hard for our group and doing a bunch of really unique stuff. Like that's one of the big driving factors of why I keep coming back to VRChat. And you know, and it's not to say that my IRL journey is done yet. I just say that I'm kind of in the I'm stuck on here right now. I just love it too
Okay.
much. I think it's very enjoyable, especially with the community being as professional and as sweet and amazing as they are. So yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest reasons.
Okay. I remember in the beginning you said you started off blasting two speakers on both sides of your mic. How has that evolved over
Yeah.
time, and what led you to those changes? Maybe using this AI would be fun.
Hello, user. You appear to be searching for the Metaverse dot.
Oh, great. I think it's broken. You know the link. Just look at metaversedegen.card.co. There should be something over there for you to enjoy.
Lion and Raptor. Consume content. Join the cult.
Did it just say cult? Okay. Yeah, no, we're cutting this before this gets weird. Just go to the link. It's right down there somewhere. All right. Bye. And a huge thanks to those who have subscribed to our Patreon, such as Niche, Future Oracle, Aliquum, Forbidden Zero, and Frozen. Thank you all very much for being there.
All right, so we gotta bring it back. So when I first started singing on here, I had to come up with some method because I was not tech savvy with PC. My older PC blue screened a bunch. It was horrible, but I made it work somehow. And I remember I had this. I still have it in the almost same place. Funny enough, the speaker. And I'm using the same mic as well. So this is actually the same microphone that I used at the very beginning. And it's been a champion, really has. And it's what's it called? I remember I would turn the pickup up on the microphone to be in like a circle, and I would just like literally blast the music into the sides, right? And I would have it to where the music's coming in from the sides and my voice coming in the middle, so that way they can differentiate it, right? And it sounded pretty good, funny enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. Uh, and then I got a VR headset, right? And that's when I started singing on the Quest, when I was using standalone Quest for a good while. Um, that was more of a challenge, I'd say, because it was I had to blast the music even louder than before, and I actually ended up using a party speaker. This is so funny to me. I use a giant party speaker, and I blast it to the point of like shaking like the walls in my room, like for it to sound like it's almost like coming just directly through my mic normally. And I remember like there was times where people thought it was actually just me playing something through my mic. But I was probably gonna go deaf if I kept doing that for a while, so I had to find ways around it, and I did. But the biggest challenge of singing on the Quest, especially for anyone who does do it, I'm sure that they can all agree it's the actual noise suppression built into the microphone on the Quest, to where once you get to a certain decibel, or once you get to a certain loudness, it cuts out, right? So that was, and me being a loud yelling goblin, and when I'm on stage, it's usually I had to find a way to kind of prevent that, and I just lifted. I used to lift my headset up every time I do a high note or do something loud, and it worked a little bit, but it was not. I mean, it still wasn't like the greatest thing in the world, but it worked for what it needed to at the time, and it gave me the ability to do things. And yeah, yeah, I'd say that now especially it's changed so drastically, so fast. Like it was kind of impressive, like just how fast things change. Um, I really wanted to improve the quality of the performances in whichever way I could. So I ended up buying a PC specifically just for that. And when I got the PC, I was able to use this microphone again, and I was like, okay, let's see how we can what we can do with this, right? And I originally began with trying to figure out methods of using having playback on the microphone through VRChat, and I ended up stumbling across voice mod. I originally started to sing with the cave sound effect because I wanted to add reverb, but it was so gnarly. I swear, I don't know why I thought it was smart. I used the cave sound effect with just I downloaded a track onto voice mod, and I would sing it like that. And yeah, it's just kind of what's it called? That was kind of the beginning of it, and then I was like, somebody told me about Steel Series. I don't remember their name, but I remember discussing it with somebody, and they helped me set it up. And that gave me the ability to just directly play stuff from the web browser into my microphone on VRChat. So that way I could just isolate voice mod to be for the microphone only. And I kind of started to fiddle with it a little bit here and there and understand more about it. And yeah, and then understood how to make an actual vocal mix on voice mod. And now I have, a much higher quality sound. And that it started to that's really what started getting me going and getting people to see me more and going to these bigger events was because very good sound quality was a very big thing for me, and I really got annoyed every time I heard that something was wrong or like something was not right during a performance. I'd get very depressed after that. But I was now especially recently I upgraded to getting a very nice stand with a shock mount and a pop filter, like a boom filter and everything. So or two, I guess there are two pop filters. One's the one that hangs and one's one that you put over the mic. But right now I got the one that hangs over the mic because it's just it looks cooler. So and it's the same thing. So but yeah, that's kind of the journey with the setup. So and then well, if we're gonna go a little bit forward on it, also upgrading to PC. And having one of my IRL friends be so gracious and give me two of their 1.0 base stations, right? Because they couldn't sell them and they didn't want them anymore. They had 5 2.0s. Like I don't need this. Like, and they wanted me to get full body, and I was like, all right, cool. So they helped me out with the whole process with it, and I had bought the 3.0s. So now I have the whole full body thing, and that's another big driving factor of why I love being here. I don't know, it's just very unique. Okay, I love being in here in full body, and it's a joy, and coming to sing and provide these amazing experiences for people. Like, I love it. That's definitely it's a big thing in my life right now for sure.
Okay. And what led to the group that you run? I ask what led to the creation of that, and what have you done with the group so far?
Oh wow. Okay. So this is a big one. I think that's another big reason why I play this a lot, or I'm on here a lot. Is the fact of me coming on here and wanting to I didn't have enough places to sing, right, and to do music and stuff. And I really wanted to, I kind of got bummed out because a lot of these other, at least in the has-been community at the time, they weren't very doing that a lot, or at least at the time I didn't know how to get to it. And so I began to think to myself, I was like, I want to make my own Discord server, right? Like, but I don't know how. So I'm a little too, little kind of not understanding about it, or like just trying to figure out how I would do certain things in that direction. So and then I ended up meeting Tack, and Tack was a without Tack I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Oh,
Uh, I'd say that it's with Tack he definitely sorry, I had something come up here, but it's all good. Tact was one of the biggest driving factors to why I was even able to have this group, because he was, me and him kind of were talking one day, and I asked him, I was like, it's like I want to do this Discord server, but I don't know Discord very much. Like I was very, very new to Discord, and he really helped me with what's it called? With the whole process, but he really ended up making the actual whole foundation for the Discord, and that's when we kind of were like, let's make this a joint venture. I'm like, let's do it. And but originally it was kind of me coming up and being like, I really wanted to have something that I could provide experiences and host big events and singing events and stuff like that, and do cool stuff. And funny enough, the group itself on VRChat, like we didn't even think about originally. I was like, I saw other people had them like in the instances, and we just made the Discord, and I was like, all right, like I asked Tack, I was like, shouldn't we make like, let me just make a VRChat group just to, well, why not? That way if anyone plays VRChat, they can come hang with us. And yeah, the most unexpected thing for me was the fact that started blowing up out of nowhere, because I would go around, I sang a lot, I used to, and the singing was the biggest driving factor why it grew so fast. And yeah, like it just kind of started to escalate just over and over again. And I honestly didn't expect the VRChat group to be bigger than the Discord originally, but at one point, we reached like 350 people in like 3 weeks, and I was like, that's, for me that was a lot at the time, because we knew a lot of other groups that had way less than that, and they've been around for a long time. So I was like, that was very impressive to me, and having those moments to where like I'd go up and talk to the members and tell them like when during our 300 member celebration, it was just we were at a rave, and I remember us hitting it, and it was just like, oh, it was so awesome to like have them there and be super supportive of us. It's like one big family, and yeah, it's just, now we're here. So now we're at almost 1,300 people, I think, and it's just incredible to even think about that we've come this far. I never thought that the group based on with my name on it would grow this big, but it did. So, and it's an amazing community, a bunch of amazing people in there, a lot of really talented artists. As one of the driving factors was artistry. We wanted to provide a safe space for art to be spread and to talked about, and musicians to kind of share their things. And yeah, I've met some very, very incredible people through it, and it's gonna keep going forward for a long time. So, and I'm excited to see where we go with it. And it is a lot of work, but I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I find it to be enjoyable work. Spending time with friends, doing cool things, singing a lot is a joy. So I love it.
yeah.
That's kind of how it began. So, but yeah.
All right. So, what kinds of events have you done with the group so far, and what has stuck with you with that community?
So I'd say we originally began with doing karaoke's, or like open mics, like at the Has-Been Worlds. That was kind of the only thing we did. I pitched an idea one day to Tack of potentially trying to like I told myself I was like this, right? I was being a little competitive, right? I was like, these other groups do events like once or twice a week, right? Like, let's try to, go overboard and do an event every day, right? And we'll find a way to manage it. And we ended up just originally we didn't have a schedule, but now we do. We have a full schedule for the whole week. And yeah, we did open mics, game nights. We eventually started doing raves, which originally the raves were the big thing for us. I remember the first rave we did, which I actually still have videos of it, funny enough, and it's a blast from the past to look at for real. It's the raves were, that was like the first time we got like, 40, 50 people instances. Like, and we only had 400 members at the time, so that was big. And what's it called? It's the raves were just amazing. It was a blast to do, and I was DJing for them most of the time, and seeing people dance like just half body dancing, like just trying their best to do it. It's amazing, and it was really joyful to look at. And uh, then we kind of started to go forward with it, and we kind of maintain the everyday event. We still do to this day, and but we started to add like little trinkets in, like uh, we did a what's it called? A 600 member celebration. Um, that was a big landmark for us because I promised that we would do something for it. So we did a little event to where we got this world kind of catered to us and stuff like that, and it was nice. It was very, very chill. That was like a different type of event, right, for us. And I'd say the biggest difference or the biggest time it changed was when I decided to originally, okay, I started doing the singing classes, and that was probably the biggest different thing that anyone has seen on here. And you know, I myself have never seen anybody else do that. At least in the like to do singing classes on here, like that's way out of like left field, right? Like no one really does that. So, and I just really, I had a lot of people asking me for lessons. So I was like, let me just do a class. Maybe it'll be easier to kind of just have something like a little fun like every once in a while. And eventually, I got very good reception, and a lot of people wanted to do more of it. So I made it a weekly thing, and now we usually do it on Fridays. But and sometimes I have to move it to like a next week if I'm busy, because I'm very busy on here. So I try my best with it, but I love it, and I don't charge anything for them. I just, like I said, I love to see people grow and excel in their craft. So if that's enough for me. And um, I'd say the biggest event for sure was Talent to the Beyond, which is my concert I do on Sundays. That was the initial spark for becoming more, friendly with the big names, like, which, funny enough, I didn't expect to, like, we got a decently big names for the first time we ever held it, and, it's, even to this day, people love coming out to it, and it's great. So, but yeah, that's probably the biggest event for sure that we've done so far. We have plans to do some big ones, but that right now currently is our big one, like that we do.
Okay. Now, after all this time looking back, have you expected to be in the spot you're in after you first bought or got into VRChat and then bought the headset?
Absolutely not. This is the last thing I expected to reach. And I never really thought that I would be here, like especially in the furry community, and also at the level of, I guess you can consider it like a sort of popularity, but it's not really. I don't really like to consider it that. But it's just I have a lot of friends. Like I enjoy it. People enjoy listening to me sing, and that was that's like the biggest thing I didn't expect. Like especially with this, I remember picking the VR headset back up and going like, I'm gonna go into a world and sit in front of a mirror and talk to somebody, right? Like, and I did not expect to be doing this, like especially at the rate I do. It's just so I honestly feel blessed at times because it's such an amazing thing to one to run a community and to also be involved with such amazing talented people, which I didn't expect that was on here either. I thought a lot of people treated it as a game, and it was a very big breath of fresh air and a very big change of mind for me when I, kind of started to look at this as a little more than a game when I started to see these things. And to this day, I still kind of now feel it's like really just a different extension of life at this point. Because
Oh wow.
it's just like people really care about it. They really see it as something more. They really do like things that you don't see in video games. Like I would love for somebody to tell me where else they see this kind of stuff, to where you got full blown events, like detailed worlds being made for specifically a catered set list of people, like full audio like systems being like procured for the event. Like you got a whole team of people working on that, just that audio source, making sure everything sounds good. You have like staff members, catering the event. You have people checking on sound, being sure that the artist sounds as good and stuff like that. Going backstage before the event, double checking everything. Like it was. I didn't expect for it to get that detailed. And so yeah, and not to mention that it's just like I don't know. It's having body language and like all these aspects in VR, especially the VR aspect of it, makes it really just feel more than just a game to me. Like I come on here and like when you have conversations like we're having now, like it's just very there's a certain almost realness to it, when it comes to us discussing things and talking. And I don't know. I feel like everyone, when they reach a certain point and play this enough, they'll experience it themselves, to where like they're gonna start kind of feeling as though that they don't really look. It's almost like they come on here to relax at the end of the day, and it's almost like a little resort to go to and just relax and have conversations with people. And once you see that side, once you see that one side of this game, like people really then will start to notice that, wow, this is more than I thought it was, like. And yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And yeah, and I love it. I love it. It's amazing.
Mm. What was the moment that made you see VR chat differently than just a game? Was there a specific time or thing that made you think differently of it?
I'd say that the going into I'd say like the biggest ones for me was probably when I would like go perform somewhere, or like I would have people like get emotional over things, and show a lot of emotion towards certain discussions, or just sit down with somebody and really just comfort them if they're going through a hard time, and it really helps them. And like I've done that a couple times, and that those moments are like so intimate, and it's just like you don't go on Call of Duty and have intimate moments, like, or you don't go into like different games and just like you can have those conversations with people, but it's not the same. It's almost like the presence is there. Like I'd say that like there's a presence there that you just don't get in other places, and it's a little embarrassing. But hey, there's times to where I've had kind of romantic type feelings towards certain people. I'm not gonna lie about it, but just the fact that those can even stir up in here is something to be amazed at. And people on here do even have like full blown relationships, and they actually even like people outside of this game that are online dating will come on here and use it as a means of which to have some form of more intimate human connection. And just that kind of experience, or like just I'm gonna say like the presence is probably the biggest one. There's like you have to kind of like be in here to experience it. But when I'm hanging out with like people that are like full body, or like other full body people, like if I'm in a room full of like people with full body, and like everyone's kind of just hanging out, after like a couple hours you almost forget you know, like that moment you forget that you're in a game. Like the moment you forget that you're playing something is that moment where you're just like, you know, it's like damn, you know, like I didn't. It's like oh yeah, I'm playing VRChat. That's right, you know. And then people you spend hours and hours on here without even realizing it. And I think that's the biggest. That's the moment that I kind of forgot that I was in here. That I forgot that I was playing something is the moment that I really started to realize that it was something more than it really was. So yeah.
Okay. So, may I ask you this? What is next for you? What is things people can look forward to? What are you working on?
Ooh. Okay. I'd say that the biggest things for me is I am going to try to go to virality. I don't know, maybe. I'm not. I can't. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I'm gonna attempt it.
Mm.
It's a big event on here, and I really feel like it's a goal. It's a nice goal for me to try to get there, and but also, you know, if at some point, you know, my group has very, you know, graciously helped me in the process of like determining our future. And you know, one of the biggest things which we set out for a long ways out. Like we thought about it early on, but we're like we're gonna wait until the time is right, you know, for us to do this. And eventually we want to host our own convention on here, like an art convention in a large scale. Uh, what's it called? And that will be the day that I will feel like, you know, that we really accomplished something at like the next level, you know, like um aside from that, like that's still a ways away. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but you know, we've thought about it already and we've talked it over and we're very patiently waiting for the right time. It'll come up at some point. But it's more recent terms, I'd say that we are going to begin hosting. I'm gonna be doing a actual like almost America's Got Talent type, you know, event. To where it's a audition based competition, right? And I love that. I think competition really brings out a lot more. Especially since I'm in one right now. Funny enough, in VR, and I've noticed that it's definitely it's definitely makes you get nervous because you definitely want to win, and it really makes you bring out more than you usually do, and it really shows a lot about, you know, who you are and what your singing style is and how you can improve on it, like it, because we learn to adapt pretty quickly. But yeah, I'd say that those two are the biggest ones, but also me just performing at different groups and events. Like I love doing it. So usually, if you're around the Beryllium area or even Corbell, at some point I eventually will. I've been in talks with him about singing for him as well, so I will be doing that at some point in the future. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I have a lot of cool things, and I'm around a lot, so you'll find me if you're around there. So, but yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that's the biggest ones for my group, at least.
All right. Well, let's lead up for the last few questions before we start wrapping things up. First of which is the name you use in VRChat, where did it come from, and why to use it?
So this name, it's kind of an interesting background. So a long while ago, my alias on stage was originally Atlas the Forgotten, right?
Hmm.
That's what my original stage name was. After a while, I thought about it. It's way too long, and I don't know if I like it that much anymore. So, but at the same time, I kept it, because it was more of just a passion project. And I remember playing a Hellblade, I think it was the game, and there was this one like boss in it called Val Rhaven, right? Like that's how you pronounce it. And it's supposed to be like the god of ravens or something like that in that world. And I love the name so much. Like I thought it was really unique. And I remember when I originally started playing VRChat, I actually named myself Val Rhaven. And it's funny how the name just kind of came back, like even when I changed it. So I thought it was hilarious because just so happened to coincidentally continue to be called Val Rhaven. What's it called? So I had Val Rhaven for a while. I thought that, too many people had Raven in their name, and I wanted to be a little bit more unique.
Hmm.
So I changed it to Valrhaven, right? Which is that's where the H is for. It's Valrhaven, like almost like Ra as in like the god Ra, and then I don't know. Maybe I spelled it wrong in terms for Raven, but hey, I tried my best. But hey, it's at the time at least. And yeah, I mean, and then people just continued calling me Val Rhaven, so it was it was great. And now I kind of just go by both. Like if you know me by Val Rhaven, you can call me Val Rhaven, or if you know me by Val Rhaven, you know by Val Rhaven. So, but
Hmm.
they both still surmise this me the man. Yeah, so
In the
I love
av-
it though. But yeah, that's kind of.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, and the avatar you're in, why do you use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you? Yeah, and I know you have quite a few too. So feel free to show whatever ones you want.
Yeah. So I do kind of like change between them. I will probably change into the one that I did use for quite some time just to show. This one currently is the one that I kind of been using a lot, and I really enjoy it. It's got a nice like dapper suit on it, and it is in the works to get my. I do have a few custom ones that are like basis on what my actual appearance is supposed to be, or like my mascot or persona if you want to call it that. But it's what's it called? It's the purple suit and the hat is like really the best way you can recognize me if you see me anywhere. So, and I will quickly show the little chibi Val that I have, which is the one that I did perform in quite regularly. So if you did see me anywhere, usually for a long while, I used this. So and this is created by my amazing friend Kosho Creations. They're amazing, by the way. Make sure definitely recommend checking them out. They what's it called? And they made this for me as a gift, and I loved it, and I thought it represents my mascot for my group, and it's I'm a big Gatsby person, right? I like 20 stuff. Like I love that kind of old theme, and so that's why we kind of went for that kind of aesthetic, and yeah, it's. I'd say in the future, I will be having a new one here soon, which I will wait for y'all goobers to see. It'll be soon, don't worry. But yeah, for the time being, you can find me in this one. And this is my lovely Nova Beast, which I do love Nova Beast, but I also use archers as well, if you do see that. But I'm in the process, as one would say. It's where it's like you're kind of like going between different ones, like finding that perfect fit, And I don't know. I love to have a sensation of comfortability on stage in terms of like how I feel in that specific moment or that specific time, and how I am portraying myself on stage, especially in the furry community at least. And yeah, so this is you see me using this one a lot, or there's two archers that I'm sure if you know what an archer is, it's a type of thing, but I'll save that one for another time. But this one is the one you can usually see me in a lot. So yeah,
Okay.
that's probably a lot more confusing than other people, but I probably am a little bit more
That's a-okay.
drastic about it.
That's a-okay. It's uniquely you. That's all we want to know is who you are. And thank you for sharing that. And if the audience wishes to reach out and find you or anything you do, where can they go?
You can find me on YouTube, and YouTube, SoundCloud, and TikTok are all the same. They're Val Rhaven, or VRchatmusicHub, as my group. But my YouTube and SoundCloud are Raven, whichever one. And you can find my Discord, which goes by the same name. Usually same name for everything, mostly. I try to maintain that so it's easier for people to find me. And yeah, it's the Spotify journey is gonna happen soon, in the works. But at the time being, I'm with with the YouTube gang. So yeah, you can find me on those platforms, and also my group on here, valrhavenscreationhub, which I will say the group number, just that way in case anyone does want to see it, because I do forget to do that a lot. I think it's a nice touch.
Hmm.
But yes, it's VCH 1089. So if you're interested in checking this out, so but I did want to say something though
Of course.
about the avatars thing. I wanted to ask, how did you stumble upon yours? You and Raptor.
So a long time ago, I was part of the Nanachi gang, and eventually I felt like it was too chibi, and I wasn't a fan of it. And I asked a friend of mine, are there any bases that look that would give me the exact same look I'm looking for, but doesn't look like a little angelic, childish thing. And so eventually came across the Foxo model by Oda Goldenpaw, and I fell in love with it, and I've been using it since almost perpetually. What about you, Raptor?
Oh, you know what?
Well, I started out with a real tiny, I don't know what you want to call it, but it was small. And then I was always looking for a small avatar and stuff like this. And I come across a gentleman in here that made a small fox, and I like foxes, so that's where I went. And then friend of that line knows that made his. I turned around and found one on Gumroad and ran with it, bought it, and they customized it for me, and I've been a fox since. That's the way it goes.
I love
You
that.
just gotta. It's hard to find when you come in here because there's so many things and so many different types of
Oh
avatars
yeah.
in here. When most people are looking for maybe just screwing around those, or they're looking for that certain thing that represents them and everything else like this, and they look for it hard and mighty, and they might change 1,000 times or have it remodeled 1,000 times before they go, it's it. And I've been like a fox for a long time in here, and I just stuck with it. I had somebody ask me, don't you like humans? And I go, there's nothing wrong with humans, but I just wanted to be something different. So you just go with the flow of things.
100% on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went through a similar thing with that, to where it's like you're in a new world, might as well wear something different, like do something, yeah, do something you enjoy. Like that's what I see, and I love that, by the way, because I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm a little picky. I think that's probably the problem, but it's um I every time I think of that avatar, I think of you, so it makes 100%. And I hope it's not weird me asking something, but
Oh no,
it's
it's not. It's not
I
weird
No,
at
just
all.
I'm always
God,
very curious
no.
about.
Well, yeah, hey, that's
But,
not a problem at all. At least they're asking us and then reverse, because we don't get it very often, and we have to stop and put on the brakes and put it in reverse. Because wait a minute, okay, but it's cool. I get a kick out of it when somebody reverses it on us. We've been in here not as long as some people, me in line, but that it's just one of those things that it's nice to have it reversed once in a while and get a kick out of it in the process. I appreciate you, Raven, that you ask a question. So, like they say, folks, the line's going to pass it to me sooner or later, but you go ahead, line, it's yours. I know what part you're going to talk to next.
Ah, well, with this said, write down the Hoobly What's It down that way in the description. You'll see links and stuff. There's a section called guest links. I have everything for Val Rhaven here. Be right there for you to click. The SoundCloud, the YouTube, the social media, the VRChat group. Everything is one fun place for you to go and link, as well as some other fun links for you to go check out. And with that said, oh, if you're on Spotify, there's over in the episode description. It'll be there as well. Same setup as everything is the YouTube description, but over at Spotify. And the question for you, the audience as well, what was the first avatar that you fell in love with? And for those who have never touched VRChat ever, what was the first video game character that you enjoyed or couldn't get out of your head? So with that said, Mr. Raptor, you know the thing.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. No matter what and how you play in here, folks, you pick what you are and who you might want to think you want to be, but in reality, when it's all said and done, it's still you, and you have a blast with it. So whatever you do when you play hard, just make sure you don't play too hard, because this might get hit with the ball. We'll talk to you later, folks. Have a good one.
I wonder if you can ride the train and go inside the fucking over there. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. How big
It
that wall is,
goes
though.
in there and goes around. Why? And it goes around.
Oh, it does. Holy shit.
Fuck yeah, it goes fucking around. I don't know where it goes. Like I said, I just got here. I don't know where everything is.
Huh.
I have to check this place out.
Definitely. We're going to have to.
There's another one. There's another one I got to show you that it's
Oh?
called the, yeah, hold on. Another one is called the Cozy Woods. That one's cool.
Oh, okay. We're definitely going to have to check that out, too. There's a bunch we're going to have to check out.
Yeah, there's some new ones in.